Most men chase, most men beg, and most men lose. But what if you didn't have to pursue her at all? What if she came to you, obsessed, intrigued, hungry to figure you out? This video will show you how to reverse the game. These 5 strategic rules are not for the weak, the kind, or the knave. They're for those who want power in silence, desire without effort, and control without touching the crown. In the game of power and attraction, most men make the fatal mistake of believing that what they are is what matters. They go to the gym, memorize pickup lines, accumulate wealth, or strive to be more genuine, thinking that the substance of who they are is enough to compel desire. But this is a fantasy. In the real world, the world governed by silent hierarchies and invisible influence. It is not truth that seduces, but perception. Not essence, but appearance. Not honesty, but illusion carefully constructed. The truth of your personality, your values, your intentions, your past. None of that has the power you think it does. What she believes about you is more powerful than what actually is about you. She will not fall for your soul. She will fall for the image your soul casts on the wall. If that image is crafted with purpose, to control perception is to become a master of social alchemy. You do not change the material. You change the lighting. You do not lie directly. You allow suggestion to do the work. Silence becomes your tool. Ambiguity becomes your shield. Your identity is no longer a transparent mirror, but a foggy window, inviting curiosity, not certainty. A man who controls perception understands that mystery breeds value. What is seen fully is devalued instantly. The mind craves what it cannot fully grasp. It projects desire onto what remains incomplete. When you are too clear, too available, too exposed, the spell breaks. You become common, known, predictable. And in the domain of attraction, what is predictable is discarded. This is why the man who overshares, who speaks too much about his feelings, who reveals his every intention, is the man who will be politely ignored. His transparency, though honest, is unattractive. He believes that openness will create connection, but in reality, it dissolves tension. And tension is the lifeblood of attraction. Consider the difference between the man who always texts back instantly, who answers every question directly, who shows up exactly when she calls, and the man who responds when he chooses, who answers half a question and leaves the rest in the air, who never quite reveals what he's thinking. The former is safe. The latter is intriguing. She knows the first one. She imagines the second. And imagination, not logic, fuels desire. Perception is also about how you present, not just what you say. Your posture, your eyes, your tone, your silences, they all tell stories. Every gesture is either a declaration of power or a confession of weakness. A man who fidgets, apologizes excessively, or fills every silence with words is not in control of the room or himself. He is reacting. He is afraid of judgment. He is trying to be liked. The man who holds silence like a sword, who moves slowly, who seems to always know something he hasn't said. He becomes a puzzle, and puzzles are seductive. To control perception, you must also control what is withheld. Don't speak your motives. Let her guess. Don't chase her validation. Let her wonder why you don't need it. Don't tell her you're confident. Let her feel it by how little you need to prove it. Don't say you're high value. Show it through the space you take up without needing to impress. The less you explain, the more they investigate. The more they investigate, the more attached they become. People value what they invest energy trying to understand. This is why detachment is powerful, not because you don't care, but because you don't show that you care. You give just enough to keep the flame alive, but never enough to let her feel full. She must always be a little uncertain, a little off balance, a little hungry. When she's full, she leaves the table. When she's intrigued, she stays. And this does not mean being fake. It means being deliberate. A mask is not deception, it's a tool. Your ability to present a version of yourself that is enigmatic, composed, and slightly out of reach will determine how much power you hold in the early stages of attraction. Later, when bonds are stronger, the mask can drop slightly, but never fully. Even in long-term dynamics, perception must be managed. Familiarity must never become contempt. Predictability must never become boredom. When you walk into a room, your first words don't matter. Your presence does. Are you controlled? Are you silent when others rush to speak? Do your eyes wander or do they pierce? Do you enter like a man waiting to be judged? Or like one who has already passed judgment? Your image begins before you speak. Control it like a general maps a battlefield. It is also vital to understand that controlling perception is not just about how others see you. It's about how you control what they feel in your presence. If they feel tension, curiosity, uncertainty, they are drawn in. If they feel safe, comfortable, unchallenged, they disengage. Comfort is not seduction. Certainty is not desire. Women do not chase what is already theirs. They chase what they feel slipping just out of reach. This is why you must never allow her to believe she fully owns your attention. She can borrow it, taste it, even crave it, but never possess it. That distance is power. That space between her reaching and your withholding, that's where attraction lies. You must become the architect of how she sees you, not through words, but through absence, posture, pauses, and the careful framing of your presence. Reality is overrated. In the court of desire, illusion wears the crown. You don't need to change yourself. You need to change what is seen of you. Predictability is the death of desire. The human mind, especially the female mind when it comes to romantic intrigue, is not drawn to stability. It is drawn to mystery, to uncertainty, to emotional puzzles it cannot instantly solve. The predictable man is safe. Safety does not inspire longing. It inspires comfort, and comfort is the enemy of seduction. To make a woman chase, you must become a storm dressed in silence, unreadable, ungraspable, just beyond her emotional reach. A man who is predictable becomes a character in her mental script. She knows when he will text, when he will call, how he will respond. He becomes a routine, a flat line. And nothing that lies on a flat line commands attention. The reason men who follow strict, nice guy, routines often fail is because they confuse consistency with attraction. Yes, consistency builds trust, but it does not build excitement. Attraction, especially in its early stages, thrives on unpredictability, on contrast, on the feeling of never quite knowing what's next. Unpredictability is a form of psychological dominance. It forces her into a state of constant adjustment. Her mind must work to interpret you, to analyze your silences, to decode your reactions. She begins to think about you even when you're not around. You occupy her internal world, not by what you say or do, but by what you withhold and delay. Every time she thinks she's figured you out, you shift slightly. Not wildly, but subtly, enough to break the pattern she thought she understood. This is not about playing games, it's about being the game. When a man becomes the source of unpredictable emotional stimulation, he becomes magnetic. She never knows if the next moment will bring pleasure, challenge, silence, or praise. Her nervous system becomes hooked, not to who you are, but to the instability you create. And in that instability, her attachment grows deeper. It's the same principle behind addiction. Not knowing what comes next is what makes the mind obsess. To be unpredictable, you must first kill your habits of emotional overexpression. If she texts, don't always reply right away. If you had a great date, don't immediately follow up with cliché compliments. If she expects validation, break the pattern. Give her a pause, a moment of uncertainty, a chance to wonder what you're thinking. The goal is not to manipulate, but to unbalance. A woman off balance is a woman in pursuit. A woman who knows where she stands is a woman with options. You must blur the map. Never be the man who gives her full access to your emotional temperature. One day seem warm, the next seem distant, not cold, but focused elsewhere. Speak in half-truths. Let your words suggest meanings you never confirm. Make her think she's figured you out, then act in a way that reopens the question. This shifting keeps you above the line of obsession, because once she feels she's got you, the game ends, and with it, her interest. The male who lives according to predictable emotional patterns hands over all leverage. If you're always available, always consistent in tone, always seeking her validation, she knows she has you. And when she knows she has you, she stops wondering if she can keep you. That wondering is the psychological mechanism that fuels emotional investment. Without it, she moves on. She may not even know why, but something inside her disengages. Her chase is no longer necessary. To hold her interest becomes something more like weather than architecture. She should wake up unsure if today you will be the warm sun or the cold shadow. She must never feel fully certain of your emotional position. This uncertainty triggers pursuit. She checks your stories. She reads deeper into your words. She overthinks your silences. You don't tell her to chase. You create the conditions that make her feel she must. Unpredictability also requires a mastery of internal detachment. If your actions are driven by fear of loss, she will sense it. She will see through your silences. Your unpredictability must not be rooted in insecurity, but in strength. You don't delay replies to make her chase. You delay because you are simply occupied with more important things. You don't go silent to manipulate. You go silent because you aren't controlled by the need to constantly reassure. This energy shift makes all the difference. Many men try to implement mystery artificially. They stop replying, they act aloof, they pretend to be busy. Pretense is transparent. True unpredictability flows from a man who is indifferent to outcome, who values his time, his purpose, his internal focus more than he values her approval. That kind of man is naturally elusive. Not because he hides, but because he moves by his own rhythm. She doesn't know when he'll appear, what he'll say, how he'll feel. And that makes her chase, not out of desire for him, but out of desire for control over the unknown he represents. The unpredictable man never becomes her possession. He becomes her puzzle, a puzzle she cannot stop solving, even when she says she's tired of the game. Even when she tells her friends he's frustrating, even when she threatens to walk away. Because her emotional investment has already been made, and no one walks away from something they haven't fully figured out. This is the psychological battlefield where attraction becomes obsession. Not by force, not by words, but by the controlled chaos of a presence that can't be mapped. You are not withholding attention to punish her. You are shifting, vanishing, reappearing to create a rhythm she cannot predict. And it is in this unpredictable rhythm that desire lives, raw, unstable, relentless. Neediness is repulsion cloaked in desperation. It is the scent of self-betrayal, the silent confession that you are incomplete without her, that your internal world bends at her slightest gesture, and nothing dries up desire faster than the realization that a man's emotional state is determined by her presence. In attraction, strength is not loud, it is silent, it is felt, not spoken. And the greatest strength is the one that does not lean. It stands alone, untouched, undisturbed. The man who reveals need, even in subtle ways, kills the magnetism that might have pulled her in. A longing gaze that lingers too long, a fast reply that hints at too much time, a compliment that sounds more like pleading. Each of these things whispers, "I need you to validate me," and the moment she senses that, she will either pity you or control you. But she will not desire you. A man who needs something from her cannot possess mystery, cannot hold dominance, cannot command emotional gravity. Need reveals itself not in words, but in tone, posture, timing. When you adjust your behavior to please her, when you edit your personality to avoid rejection, when you seek her affection like a starving man hunts for bread, you become emotionally small. She may entertain you, she may tolerate you, but she will never chase you. The chase begins when she senses that your life flows forward with or without her. That you are not waiting, you are living. To project independence is to become a fortress. You are complete. You are self-validated. Your attention is not a prize she automatically wins. It is a privilege she must earn. You don't need her to make you feel alive, interesting, or important. You already are those things. You do not rely on her presence to escape loneliness. You do not offer affection as a transaction. You do not try to win her. You allow her to orbit your gravity, and she either chooses to stay or she drifts away. You do not chase what can leave. You attract what cannot ignore. This is not coldness. This is power disguised as stillness. The emotionally independent man doesn't beg, doesn't overexpress, doesn't seek permission to feel worthy. His sense of self is locked inside, unshakable, unbroken. When she pulls away, he doesn't panic. When she tests him, he doesn't flinch. He is not reactive. And this non-reactivity is intoxicating. Because she is used to men bending. She is used to emotional hunger. She is used to control. But the man who is detached from outcome, who is willing to walk away at any moment, becomes unforgettable. He forces her into a different kind of emotional posture, one where she has to earn him. Revealing need also creates imbalance. It signals that you place her above yourself, that her time, her presence, her beauty are somehow superior to your own value. And once that imbalance is established, It becomes the foundation of the interaction. You are chasing, she is choosing. You are asking, she is approving. But a dynamic built on inequality cannot lead to genuine attraction. It leads only to power exchange. And when you hand her that power, she will either abuse it or lose interest in it altogether. Women are not attracted to need. They are attracted to presence, to composure, to stillness. A man who can sit in silence without filling it, who can walk away from a woman without punishing her, who can speak without the desperate tone of, "Please accept me." That man enters her mind in a different way. He is not playing the game most men play. He is not selling himself. He is being. And being is far more powerful than performing. You must remove all traces of emotional dependence from your expression. Stop confessing your feelings too early. Stop trying to make her like you. Stop reacting to every shift in her behavior, her coldness, her games, her silence. None of it should disturb your emotional landscape. You don't ignore her out of spite. You remain focused out of discipline. You don't demand her attention. You allow her to notice the absence of yours. True independence is also about internal orientation. Your goals, your mission, your solitude. These are not temporary distractions from loneliness. They are the core of your existence. She is not your reward. She is not your savior. She is not your emotional cure. If she adds to your life, good. If not, the current continues to flow. This mindset is not fake confidence. It is deep-rooted sovereignty. You are your own center of gravity. Everything else, including her, is orbit, not anchor. When a man walks into a room and carries himself like he belongs everywhere yet needs nothing, women notice. Not because he's loud, not because he's trying, but because he exudes control over self. He doesn't chase outcomes. He attracts experiences. He doesn't fill space with noise. He fills it with calm certainty. That is what makes her lean in, not because you pulled her, but because she couldn't resist the pull of someone who is entirely himself, with or without her. The moment she feels that her presence doesn't dictate your mood, your behavior, your worth. That's the moment she starts to crave yours, because she can't control it, because she can't possess it, because she can't figure out why someone who sees her clearly still doesn't need her. That is where the chase begins, not from your pursuit of her, but from the absence of yours. Not from your effort, but from your calm refusal to bend. Every interaction between a man and a woman operates within a psychological frame, a lens through which power, value, and roles are perceived. He who controls the frame controls the meaning of the moment. And in the realm of attraction, the man who fails to establish and guard his frame will find himself adapting to hers. The moment you step into her frame, you surrender leadership, you relinquish influence, and you become subject to her emotional gravity. To lead the dance, you must set the tempo. To be chased, you must define the game. Controlling the frame begins long before you speak. It begins in your posture, in the way you occupy space, in the unspoken confidence that radiates from a man who is not seeking approval. When a woman meets a man who does not explain himself, does not overexpress, does not try to impress, she enters his world. She is pulled into a gravitational field defined by his values, his standards, and his sense of reality. This is not arrogance. This is sovereignty. The ability to shape perception by being unshaken in your own. Most men unconsciously step into the woman's frame. They adjust themselves to be liked. They ask questions that imply they are seeking acceptance. They laugh too quickly. They apologize too often. Every micro behavior tells her you are the prize, and I am here to prove myself worthy. This dynamic poisons attraction. Why? Because it places the woman in the position of judge and the man in the position of performer. She dictates the energy, and he dances to it. A man who controls the frame reverses this. He is not seeking to be liked. He is seeking to be understood on his own terms. His words are not reactions to her behavior. They are declarations of intent. His silence is not uncertainty. It is power. His standards are not negotiable. They are a filter. This man creates emotional contrast. She does not know if she meets his standard. And in that not knowing, she leans forward. She adjusts her behavior. She enters his frame. The frame is the unwritten rulebook of engagement. If you're on a date and you let her dominate the conversation, ask all the questions, set all the rhythms, you have entered her frame. If you laugh at jokes that aren't funny, tolerate disrespect, or avoid tension just to maintain peace, you have surrendered your masculine gravity. The man who allows his emotional tone to be set by others becomes invisible over time. She may appreciate your compliance, but she will never desire it. Controlling the frame is not about dominance through aggression. It is about leadership through direction. A man who says, "This is what I believe, this is how I live, this is what I value," and stands by it calmly without the need for validation, creates an unshakable atmosphere. Women can sense this instantly. The way he looks at her, the way he handles silence, the way he disagrees without becoming emotional, all of these signal that his frame is set, and she is either welcome to enter it or free to walk away. The man who controls the frame is not emotionally reactive. When she tests him, he does not flinch. When she pulls away, he does not chase. When she throws chaos into the moment, he remains the eye of the storm. This steadiness is not just attractive, it is magnetic, because it signals depth. It signals that he is not playing a role, but embodying a reality. His frame is not a performance, it is his default. You must understand. Women test the frame constantly, not because they want to destroy it, but because they want to feel it. They want to know that you are not a mask, not a weak imitation of strength. Every sarcastic remark, every withdrawal of attention, every emotional shift, these are not obstacles to avoid, but moments to reinforce your frame. She does not need you to agree with her. She needs to feel that your sense of self does not waver when challenged, that you are not built on sand. A powerful frame also includes the boundaries you hold. You don't tolerate disrespect, not with anger, but with detachment. You don't chase affection, you command it through presence. You don't adjust your truth to keep her interest. You refine your truth so that only the worthy can stay. These boundaries are not walls. They are invitations to enter your world with respect. And respect is the true foundation of any chase worth having. Too many men try to manipulate women by learning lines, routines, tactics. They forget that real power is not technique, it is energy. The energy of a man who walks into every interaction knowing exactly who he is, what he will accept, and what he will never entertain. This man doesn't argue. He doesn't explain himself endlessly. He simply is. And because he is, the woman must decide whether to rise to meet him. That decision alone creates tension. Tension creates investment. Investment creates pursuit. To control the frame is to maintain a psychological world that she must step into if she wants access to you. She can sense when you are trying to impress. She can feel when your compliments are bought. She can smell desperation, even when hidden behind false confidence. But when she feels that your world is complete without her, that your approval is not for sale, that your self-worth is not negotiable, that's when the chase begins. Not out of duty, not out of attraction alone, but out of a deep desire to be part of something that is stronger than her ability to control it. The game of attraction is never played on the surface. It unfolds in the undercurrents of power, silence, and control. Most men lose not because they are unworthy, but because they play by rules that were never designed to make them win. They seek affection the way a beggar seeks bread, not realizing that what truly pulls a woman in is not their love, not their praise, not even their attention, but their absence of need, their presence of power, and the mystery of their inner world. To make a woman chase you, you must stop trying to be chosen. You must become the force she cannot define, the presence that disrupts her expectations. Think strategically. Be willing to be misunderstood, even disliked, because men who seek to please rarely lead. Master restraint. Speak less, observe more. Keep your emotions sharp but contained. Let her feel the weight of your indifference when it's deserved. Let her feel the pull of your dominance when it's natural. You are not here to impress. You are here to rule your reality. From the control of your frame, to the projection of independence, to your unpredictability, and your fearless detachment. Every rule we've uncovered is not just a trick, but a reflection of something deeper, that true attraction begins when she senses that you don't need her world awed, because you already command your own.